Kathy Brennan here, helping you to look better, feel better, and do better. Well, today I'm going to talk about the habit of being self-aware. What does it mean to create a habit of self-awareness? Well, some people focus primarily on their strengths. They are very aware of their strengths. Other people focus primarily on their weaknesses. They can recite all of their weaknesses. Well, neither one of those people has a habit of self-awareness, because self-awareness understands that you have both strengths and weaknesses. You're not fooling yourself into thinking you have all strengths or lying to yourself that you have all weaknesses. The deeper we go, the more self-awareness becomes knowing why you do something. Are you being kind to someone out of obligation? Are you doing it just because that's what your parents did? Are you doing it just because that's the way you've always done it? My mom tells a story about when she was a young woman, her mother made the Easter ham, and she would cut off the end of the ham, put it in the oven, and bake it. And my mom did the same thing. When she was baking her own Easter ham, she'd cut off the end and put it in the oven. Well, one day she asked her mother, "Why do you cut off the end of the ham? How does that make it taste better?" And my grandma said, "Well, I never had a pan big enough for a whole ham." So my mom was just baking the ham, not even aware of why she was doing it. So we need to know our why. And then a deeper level beyond that is knowing how you feel. And it is not that easy for me to know how I feel. Even though I talk a lot about feelings and emotions and mental health, it's not always clear to me how I feel. Now, someone taught me this little method to assert yourself, and it's very helpful. I'll quickly tell you it because it has to do with feelings. Let's say someone is really rude to you in front of a whole group of people. You might say, "I feel unimportant to you," or "I feel sad," or "I feel angry" when you call me out in front of a group of people, because that is just not kind behavior. I want you to talk to me alone if you think I'm doing something wrong. So I feel a certain way when what they do, because your reason, I want you to. And I use that a lot. I've used it a lot to explain to my husband or friends how I feel. And it's not always clear how I feel right away. I have to spend a little time. I have to become self-aware of what is it really that I'm feeling, and then why. Sometimes we're feeling based on past experiences, something that traumatic happened in the past. Now all of a sudden we're feeling a certain way in a situation because of that past experience, something we haven't, maybe we're not even conscious of it anymore, and yet it is impacting on how we react. So self-awareness is about finding out, okay, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way? What is it that's causing that feeling to come out and explode? So are you aware of how your past memories are affecting your feeling today? They do. We have a whole, some people say 90% of our memories are in our non-conscious mind. We don't even know they're there, yet they're impacting how we feel, how we react and behave. And so getting into that non-conscious, pulling up maybe those uncomfortable experiences or thoughts and dealing with them, reconceptualizing them, is self-awareness. So here are some paths to self-awareness. Here's some ways you can get there. Well, have you ever had a big failure? I know I have. Now, many of us will deflect the failure onto the economy or the weather or other people or all these other things instead of looking at what my part of the big failure was. This can be a great place to find self-awareness and to learn more about yourself. Maybe you didn't put in the work it took. Maybe you assumed things would happen and they didn't. Maybe you challenged people to do more than they wanted. In any case, you can look at what your part of it was. That's the self-awareness. So a big failure is a time to do that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't fail. It's important that we have the courage to try to do things enough so that we fail. That's the only way we learn how to do them better the next time. Another path to self-awareness is if you do have some great big reaction and you can look at it and go, wow, I really exploded there over this seemingly small thing. And you can become aware, what feelings inside of me have gone awry? What am I dealing with? What is in there that I haven't dealt with? Another path is if you're avoiding something. If you're avoiding going on an airplane, or if you're avoiding speaking to someone about something difficult, that's because of fear. What do you fear? It's good to know what you fear. You can't deal with it until you know what it is that you fear and see how it's impacting your life. Or these strong emotions. I had a case once where I had a lot of strong emotions around a person, and this went on for far too long. And finally I asked myself, well, Kathy, why are you so upset? And I answered quickly and I said, yeah, but why this specific person? And I answered a little more slowly. And then finally I asked, what is it, Kathy? What is inside of you that's making you react so strongly towards this person? And I got really deep and I had a great big breakthrough. I realized that there was some memories inside of me and beliefs about myself that were limiting and were difficult, and I was blaming her for it. She had nothing to do with it. It was just something inside of me. So becoming self-aware. Why is self-awareness a good habit? Well, it will make your life less frustrating. I have been golfing for almost 50 years, and I'm not very good at it. I'm just not very good at it. I don't practice that much. I'm beginning to. I'm just not very good at it. So when I realize I've golfed a long time and I'm not very good at it, and I accept it, I'm just aware of that, then I don't have to be frustrated. If I have a bad shot, well, that's what I would expect out of someone who doesn't practice a lot, who just isn't very good at the sport. Instead of being frustrated, like, oh, I should be doing better. Well, no, I shouldn't, because I'm not a very good player. That doesn't make me a bad person. It just means this is something I'm not that great at. That's being self-aware. That's being able to laugh at yourself. And then also realize there are other areas that, hey, I have a lot to offer. Not on the golf course, though. When we are self-aware, we can also, second thing is serve other people with our gifts and what we're good at, instead of serving people just saying yes just because we think they want us to say yes. Years ago, someone asked me to bake cookies for this event, and I said, no, you don't want me baking cookies. I am not good at baking cookies. Again, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean I don't really like baking cookies, but I just, that wasn't in my wheelhouse at that time in my life. And as it turns out, sugar is super bad for me, so I don't bake cookies anyways, but I could easily say no to that. And then if somebody wants me to do a spreadsheet or organize something, sure, I'm right there for you. That is something I'm good. I'm aware that I'm good at those things, and I'm aware of what I'm not good at. And when we're self-aware, we can stop pretending that we're someone or something we're not. Now, that feeling will come from, I'm not enough, so I need to pretend to be something more or something else. when you are self-aware and you can just accept who you are, and then you start to realize, well, everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. As you see this, you realize none of us is the whole complete package. Then we can stop pretending, and it just makes your life way less stressful. So how do you become more self-aware? Well, become self-reflective. Like I was talking about in the scenario with this person that I didn't like, keep asking yourself questions. What is it that's bugging you? Like really bugging you? Why is that bugging you? There are some people, like I often will think, some people could have this same situation and they wouldn't be bothered at all. So what is it about me that's making me bothered or angry or agitated or unable to cope or unable to continue on? Like, just be self-reflective. And then don't criticize yourself. Avoid that harsh criticism. Many people have a really harsh judge in their mind. Maybe it came from your parents, maybe it's just you, but don't be overly critical of yourself. Don't be any more critical of yourself than you would be of your best friend, because you probably accept in your best friend that they do some things right and they do some things wrong. Do that same thing for yourself. Be aware of when you're becoming self-aware that, oh, I'm really right about this. I'm really right about this and that and the other thing. They're wrong about this, that, and the other thing. I am aware now of how right I am. When we're doing that, that's simply our ego. Your ego will always make sure that you're right, and then you'll set out to prove to everyone how right you are. So be aware of that when your ego can step in. Maybe you ask someone who you trust, will you give me your opinion about how I handled that? What kind of person do you think I am? What are kind of my 3 strengths and my 3 weaknesses? Now, you have to ask someone who's willing to tell you the truth and that you trust with their opinion. Like, that doesn't mean you buy everything hook, line, and sinker, but at least you're getting some take on how other people are seeing you and experiencing you. That can help you become more self-aware. Last 2 things, be okay not being the best at everything. I mean, we want to be the best. Some people want to be the best, but accept that you're not the best at everything. And the last one, stop saying you're the worst at everything. That's equally as wrong. I think no matter what there is, there'll always be someone better and there'll always be someone worse. It's just what it is at that moment. That's the other thing. Self-awareness is not a conclusion. It's not like, well, this is it. I'm the best at this, or this is it. I'm the worst at it. It can be, I'm okay at this and I would like to get better, or I'm okay at this. This is where I like to stand, or I'm not that great at it, like golf. Doesn't mean I'm the worst, but I'm enjoying the sport. I'm just aware of my abilities and the reason I'm out there and why and how I feel about it, instead of saying I'm the best or the worst. So make a habit of self-awareness. Be well.